Does your client or child have a difficult time accepting no and waiting? We're getting a lot of questions regarding these two issues, which are really kind of combined in a lot of situations. So today, I have answered a question from our online community all about how to teach a child to accept no when they can't have something and to wait for something when they can have it. It's just going to take a minute. So let's get to this video blog about accepting no and waiting. There is a question that keeps coming up in this group and in our community. And we don't have a lot of content surrounding this. And this is a question like this. Somebody said their child loves balloons and they went somewhere and there were balloons there, but the child wasn't allowed to have the balloons. The balloons were somebody else's balloons, and he was freaking out because he wanted the balloons and was told no. So that's one example, but after the fourth piece of bread or chocolate or the fourth lemonade or whatever, there is a point when a child could be allergic to something. A child could have had too much. A child may want your phone, but you don't want to hand them your $1,000 phone because you're afraid that they're going to break it. So there's a lot of what we call accepting no that is a problem. And the other issue, which is kind of related, is waiting. Maybe they can have your phone, but they have to wait. Or maybe they can eat the pizza, but you have to cook it first or make it first. And so there's this waiting for things you want, or accepting no flexibly and not having crying and screaming and flopping on the ground, which is common. Even if your child is typically developing, everything is going fine in terms of their development. Babies come out of the womb crying to get their needs met. So they cry when they need their diaper changed. They cry when they want to have milk, be fed. They cry to be soothed. They cry when they're hurt. So it is totally normal. It's an inborn reflex that you cry and you get things. But as kids progress to 1 and then 2 and 3, we develop language. And that is really what should take the place of most crying. Now, of course, if a child is injured or sick, hurts themselves, you would want to cuddle them, make them feel better, that sort of thing. But if they're crying because they want their the fourth piece of chocolate or a second popsicle, and you don't want them to have a second popsicle, or the balloons at another table at a restaurant celebrating somebody else's birthday, there are times when you are going to have to say no, and it's going to be a lot. So we are going to just cover briefly how to have your child accept no and how to have your child wait, no matter if they're 1-year-old, typically developing, or 5-year-old and on the autism spectrum. And this is happening frequently. So getting to this, how often, we do want to use the 4-step Turn Autism Around approach, which comes with assessment. And that assessment, which which I cover at length in several videos and podcasts, and we can link those. But the step 1 is assessment. So if your child is not accepting no and is crying frequently, they might be crying not only to accept no, but also they might be crying when they are told to do something that they don't want to do. We have to get a baseline. Like, is this happening 2 times a week? Or is this happening, maybe they're whining and crying a little, but the full out tantrums because they can't get something is, 2 times a week? Or is it 40 times a day? Or is it 1,000 times a day? And so we want to get a rate of what they're crying about. And if that crying does escalate to flopping on the ground, to hitting themselves, to hitting others, to biting themselves. We want to see kind of the magnitude of the situation. And then we will want to make a plan. We don't want to treat crying or any other problem behavior, what I call willy-nilly. We don't want to just, oh, well, we'll try this today. We tried that yesterday. That didn't work, because what you're going to end up doing is going to be like a whack-a-mole, where you're going to be trying different things, not systematically. So the second step of the Turn Autism Around approach is making a plan. Again, I've done other video blogs and podcasts on planning. So the plan should be that we are going to spend 95% of our time trying to prevent crying, trying to have reinforcement. Like maybe, and it's an extreme example, but if your child loves balloons and is just, always really wanting balloons, and you're going to go to a birthday party or to a restaurant where they're going to be celebrating somebody's birthday, but he won't be able to have those balloons that are tied to the chairs or whatever, you might want to bring a balloon or something in your bag. That would be a planning preventative strategy. Maybe would work, maybe would not. But the biggest thing about preventing crying or other problem behaviors related to accepting no is you're going to have to say yes a lot. So stop focusing on those extreme examples or the crying when you say no for the chocolate or whatever. And that's why the teaching part, the third step of the Turn Autism Around approach is very much like getting the easy early learner materials paired, because while you may not be saying yes, saying pig and giving the child pig and putting that pig into a puzzle is actually like very positive. It's hopefully easy for your child. And that all that reinforcement is like a one big giant yes for the pig. It might be even three yeses. Like he says it, you say it, he says it. That's great. You might say, yay, you said pig. He puts it in. That's another yes. And so we want to get the child getting his needs met. We want to be the quote unquote spoiling grandmother, and we want to be giving him lots of good things, especially when he's calm, he's happy, things are going well, he's sitting, he's attending. And then if he does cry or whine, we want to stop being such a spoiling grandmother. We want to pull it back. As someone said once, is like your water faucet is all on when the child's happy and calm. And then if he has a tantrum or starts to cry, the water faucet goes off. Now we're not going to scream at a child. We're not going to yell. We're not even going to be that firm. We're just going to try to get calm again. Because if a child is used to, I cry and I get balloons, I get chocolate, I get bread, I get pizza, I get the iPad, I get mommy's iPhone, at least intermittently, I get it. They're going to have some time to learn that the crying is not going to actually get them the things that they want. So there are a couple of procedures. Really, it's the Count and Man procedure, which was developed by Dr. Vincent Carbone. And that is where you say no crying or shh. And his original Count and Man procedure was like counting out loud to 10. It was very could result in like a 45-minute crying episode. So I took that approach and I made it very babyish, very gentle, very kind. And it's called the Shush and Give procedure. So it's basically like, you may have something the child wants, but they're still crying. You can't just hand it over. And you can't also, it's not a good idea to say, now, I'll buy you that tomorrow. You just, you have to understand that somebody else's balloons. No, even you talking to them, trying to calm them down when they're crying is reinforcing. So you want to do a shush and give where you say, shh. And as soon as they're quiet, then you can offer them the balloon. But if they can't have the balloon, you still have to do a shush and then offer them a couple of other choices. Like maybe they can't have that balloon at the neighbor's table, but they could have an iPad, or they could have a cookie. And you might want to hold up the choices. Again, if they start screaming or crying, calmly wait, do a shush again, and then offer them the choice. Or if you know he would want the cookie, then shush. And as soon as he's quiet, give him a cookie. That's a silent count of just a few seconds. So in general, we want to use the 4 steps, which of the Turn Autism Around approach: assessment, planning, teaching, being positive, and preventative. And the 4th step is to evaluate and take data. So you took your baseline data. He cries, doesn't accept no 50 times a day on average. And it doesn't have to be where you're tallying that, especially if it's 50 times a day. You can just get a general feel, 10 times a week, whatever. And then once you put the strategies within my approach in place, you should really get those tantrums to subside. We're not looking for perfect here. They might still be whimpering a little bit. It's just a shaping procedure. And then the other part of that is waiting. There are like standard ABA procedures called like an accepting no procedure. But again, those are pretty strict. They require a lot of data and they require a lot of expertise. So I don't recommend that you as a parent or early intervention provider necessarily run anything official. So there's also a waiting program where, incrementally you could increase the time that the child's supposed to wait. But when you think about you or I waiting for something, it is, you're waiting in line at the grocery store. You're not just standing there idle waiting and sitting with your hands folded. We are scrolling through Facebook. We're thinking about what we're going to make for dinner. We're talking on the phone. So my idea of children waiting, which is kind of a part of accepting no, maybe they can have the pizza, but they have to wait until it's made, is to keep them busy with something engaging while they're waiting. So, okay, the pizza will be done. We're going to set the timer for the pizza. Let's play a game with mommy. Let's sit here, or let's do a puzzle or something preferred while they wait. So instead of doing official programs, I tend to want to just work with the child and the family to wait and accept no on a natural basis throughout the day. So in summary, prevention is definitely key. We want to be the spoiling grandma. We want to say yes a lot. We want to get the child manding for a lot of things before we say no a lot. We do want to practice accepting no. So maybe when it's like not a big deal, like they want a pretzel or a chip, or they want a pretzel, but a chip is just as reinforcing. Okay, no, we can't have any more pretzels, even though there's not any reason they can't have a pretzel versus a chip. But just to get the child, once they're manding, once they're doing well, is just like, no, we're going to do a chip instead. And so just in general, just work on it. It's a skill. It's a deficit that a lot of kids have, even kids without autism or any kind of language delays. And we just have to make sure that we are constantly thinking, like, if the child's crying, we should not be delivering praise, reinforcement, of any kind. We at least have to get a couple seconds before we can deliver some reinforcement. It may not be the actual item they want. It may be an alternative, but the child will definitely learn if you follow these techniques. I hope you enjoyed that short excerpt from our Q&A call today from our community membership. If you would like to learn more about our online course and community, you can join us in a free online workshop at marybarbera.com/workshop, or click the description below, and we'll see you there.